Yeah, you in the hat back there, yeah.
So, girls basketball playoffs already started. Boys are coming up. Are we going to be hearing about playoffs in this episode?
Playoffs? Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs. Actually, no, I just heard in my ear that we do have playoff coverage on the show tonight. We're actually bringing back some big segments, too. We got some packages for you. It's going to be a great episode, so stick around because Episode 6 of Hardwood Heroes starts right now. You heard it there. It's playoff time. The girls are in the thick of the hunt, and the boys are gearing up for some journeys of their own. I know we always start with the standings, but it's a little different this time. Like I said, the girls of the Hocking and Ohio are already in the playoffs, and many of them have already played their first round game, so let's take a look at the brackets. First up is Federal Hocking and Eastern in Division 4. FedHawk blew out Sims Valley in their first round matchup, and so they will take on number 1 seed Notre Dame on Thursday. And Eastern took on Miller Saturday, but not before we recorded this episode. If they won, they will be taking on either Clay or Western on Thursday. Also in Division 4, Waterford played Ironton Saturday, and if they won, they will be seeing Manchester next Saturday. And then sadly for the girls of Gloucester, they fell to Belpre in a close one on Thursday, and the Golden Eagles will play either Peebles or Green next Saturday. Now moving on up to Division 3, Alexander played Wellston on Saturday, and if they won, they will see either North Adams or Minford on Thursday. And then Nelsonville York, had they won, will face Clay or Ironton on Thursday as well. And up in Division 2, the Lady Vikes played River Valley Saturday and will either face Miami Trace or McLean on Thursday. And then Athens and Meigs faced off, with Meigs coming out on top in a big way, getting their first sectional win in almost 20 years. Now for the boys' standings, Trimble has clinched at least part of the Hocking title and can win it outright if they beat Eastern on Wednesday. Waterford's still just a half game behind, and Belpre, Southern, and Eastern finish out the top 5. And finally in the Ohio, Athens already clinched the title last week, and everything is locked up, although depending on what happens with Benton County, they may flip spots with Meigs. And we just showed you how the Meigs boys have a shot at third in the standings. David Butts, Nick Henthorne, how you fellas doing on this fine evening?
Paul, we're just excited to talk about some Marauders basketball. The boys had a lot to celebrate this week, a win over NY on Tuesday, followed by a monstrous performance from the TVC Ohio's top scorer on Friday.
And monstrous might be an understatement. Weston Bear scoring 35 points in front of the wild senior night crowd. Why is that so significant? Because that puts him at 1,000 career points as just a junior. The Meg student section was rocking, showing up for senior night, hoping to see their man Bear get to 1,000 against River Valley. Bear may have started the game off slow, but by the second quarter, my man got hot.
His teammates were feeding him, and Bear delivered in the final game of the regular season, hitting jumpers from all over the court, including a deep three off a feed from Nick Lilly to get him to 1,000. Let's listen to this shot. Coach Jeremy Hill was incredibly proud of Weston, but he stressed after the game that even great individual accomplishments are a result of a team effort.
Real emotional night for the boys. The girls, on the other hand, already in the postseason. How'd they do in the tournament play?
Paul, Megs got their first sectional win since 2000 on Thursday night. As head coach Jared Kaysen told us after the game, none of his players were even born the last time the Lady Marauders cut down the net.
Kaysen's squad head down to Wellston to take on the Athens Lady Bulldogs in this first round of the tournament. All year long, Megs' identity has been their three-point shooting and their aggressive defense, and that was the story on Thursday. The Lady Marauders came out firing, led 17-3 after the first frame, fueled by 2 quick threes by Marissa Noble. She had 8 points in the first 8 minutes.
Hey Nick, I know you're all about the threes, but I love the defense from the Lady Marauders, holding Athens to just 6 points in the first half. And thanks to their lockdown defense, they were in control of this one from the tip. Megs would go on to win 54-25. To end the night, a really special moment here. The team taking turns, cutting down the net. Becca Pullins here has some trouble with the scissors, but Betsing, always there with the assist, helps out her teammate.
Wow, just a big week for both Meigs teams. Looking ahead to Meigs playoff matchups, the boys take on South Point while the girls take on Courthouse. And we've been asking for them, and y'all came through. After a couple weeks of friendly chatter between student sections, we got this sent in by Wes Smith. And based on what's going on in the picture, I'd say Wes is probably a Meigs student section member. But regardless, thanks for the snap, Mr. Smith. And if you want to be like him and get on the show, then send us a snap, and you just might. Now let's see what's going on in the Ville. Nelsonville, that is. Here with me now is NY lead reporter and birthday boy J.L. Kervin with the latest on the Buckeyes.
I'm a birthday man, Paul. Just turned 21, and now it's time to have some fun. Let's talk some NY basketball.
Yeah, no, so it's your day, so boys or girls first? You choose.
Let's do girls first, who's coming off a dominant 62-33 win over New Lexington Thursday night. Now, at the time of this recording, the Lady Buckeyes have yet to play 3-seeded Oak Hill in the sectional semifinal, but let me tell you this team was hot in Jackson Thursday night.
How hot were they?
They were sizzling. Now, the Lady Buckeyes played perhaps their best basketball all year. They shot lights out and doubled the Panthers on the glass. Now, back in my day, big men reigned supreme and we shot granny style. But the Buckeyes played some new age basketball and were hitting three-pointers the likes of this old-timer like me has ever seen.
So who was hitting?
Everybody and their mama was hitting. Mary Kate McCullough, Jocelyn Heller, Mackenzie Hurd, and Grace Sennett combined for a dozen three-pointers. And the few times they missed, Haley Hurd was there to clean them up and give them another shot. It was a very impressive
Yeah, it
performance.
definitely sounds like it, but how did the boys do this week?
Do you know what my favorite part of going to the movies is?
Let me see. Overpriced popcorn. No, wait. $6 M&Ms.
Nah, I love previews. And that's exactly what we got on Friday when Nelsonville York played Alexander.
How was that game a preview?
Because the Buckeyes and the Spartans are going to play again on Wednesday in the first round of the playoffs.
Now that is a preview. So spoiler alert, JL. Who won?
In a fun game, Nelsonville York fell to Alexander 67-56 Friday night in the Alley. It was Alexander's senior night, and we've all been to the Alley. It's pretty hard to get a dub there. So I gotta tell you, I'm really excited for the rematch.
All right, but JL, Alexander defeated NY in both meetings this year. What makes you think that Friday's preview didn't give away Wednesday's conclusion?
Because it's the playoffs, baby! And 11-6 is always an upset you go for in March Madness. NY has been playing good basketball lately, and they know this team. It's on a neutral hardwood, and don't be surprised if Mikey Sill, Bryce Richards, and Justin Perry find a way to pull off the upset.
Well, I love a good trilogy, JL, so it'll be interesting to see how the story will end. Great work and happy birthday.
You're not gonna sing to me?
No, your president is not having to hear that. Now we turn it over to Alexander reporter Jack Gleckler. And Jack, what have you got to tell us about the Spartans after what sounds like a big week?
Well, Paul, we were a bit light on games this week due to the girls not playing, but with boys, gave us plenty to talk about.
Yeah, the Alexander boys had a game against Logan earlier this week.
But the real highlight was their match against Nelsonville York Friday night. Friday night's game was Alexander's senior night, and the seniors on the squad were in the alley playing like it was the last game of their lives. Dylan Meckham dominated Friday, earning 17 points and making 8 out of his 13 shots. Stone Markins Irwin started strong in the first half, scoring 10 points before halftime.
Sounds like they were having a great night. How did the rest of the team do, though?
The rest of the team was having a great night as well. J.K. Kearns made 9 points, and Caleb Terry tacked on 8, even using that height of his to his advantage and going for a dunk. Overall, the Spartans played a strong game on Friday, moving quick on their feet and constantly had the Buckeyes on the back heel. Ultimately winning the game 67-56, the Spartans are in good shape when these two teams face off again next Wednesday.
Now, the girls didn't have a game this week, and due to the recording of the show, we do not yet have the result of the Alexander versus Wellston game.
But no worries, because my fellow Alexander reporter Anthony Marino was at practice this past week. He shares with us how the Lady Spartans are preparing for a run at a state title.
A 20-2 record and being awarded the number 1 seed, the Lady Spartans have one goal in mind. That is to win a state title.
Since the beginning of the year, we've set a goal. All of us got together, we set a goal. And it was not to win the sectional or the district or the TVC. We had one big goal. And whatever else we could get along the way, we would take. I said, get your name on a banner in this gym, it'll outlast all of us. So hopefully we can do that.
There is one phrase that Coach Grinstead tries to keep instilled in all of his players.
He tells us, play hard. That's our motto, and that's what we need to do throughout the tournaments.
Win or lose, because you're going to lose some games, you're going to win some games. Win or lose, when your parents come up to you or a friend or a teacher and you lose, and they put their arm around you and say, man, that was a tough loss night tonight. But my God, you guys play hard. If you're playing as hard as you can play, then that's all we can ask out of you.
The Lady Spartans are not just a team, they are a family. And that is what makes this team so special.
This group of girls, we're always connected, and we always find each other on the court.
They want to be together. They want to keep playing. They don't want this to come to an end. And when you got kids that are like that, it makes your season special.
Each win gets Lady Spartans closer to their goal. Win 7 games in a row and forever be embedded in Alexander basketball history. Anthony Marino, Hardwood Heroes, Albany.
So as you can see, Paul, both of these teams are gearing up for next week and are definitely ready for what's ahead of them.
All right, Jack, we'll definitely be sure to keep an eye out on them, especially for those seniors playing their last few games. Thanks for the great work. And shout out to McKenna Rice's mom. If you like seeing your daughter in that package, then why not share it around to the whole family? It'll be posted on our Facebook page soon, so go check out the Hardwood Heroes Facebook page. We post links to all other content on there like game recaps and other packages, so give it a like. What are you waiting for? And sticking with the TVC Ohio, we move on to the Athens Lady Bulldogs, who suffered that tough loss to Megs that we heard about earlier. We're dishing it down into the paint with Athens reporters Joey Medor and Jackson Hughes to recap.
Yeah, you know, Paul, I wasn't much of a post player in my playing days, but it's all good. We'll make it work.
Yeah, and Coach never put me in, but that's not going to stop us from talking about some Athens hoops.
Right. The Athens girls had a rare opportunity to play a team in the first round of the playoffs that they faced the week before.
But unfortunately, they weren't able to make any correct adjustments, and they fell to the Lady Marauders, 54-25. Cold shooting really cost Athens in the first half, and it really made it tough for them to battle back.
Yeah, talking with Coach after the game, he said he wasn't sure if Mays could match the performance they had the last time, but shockingly enough, they played even better.
Even though it wasn't the best season, Coach still thinks this season built a strong foundation for the future.
This year, you know, was a stepping stone into what we're trying to build here. And we showed flashes of going in the right direction, and those seniors that are now leaving are the ones that started that foundation of where we're going.
Now, Joey, last week you reminded Paul about the Bulldogs TVC Ohio Championship. Now, this week, let's break down how they played.
Rightfully so, I did it, and the Bulldogs clinched sole possession of the title with a big win over Wellston Tuesday.
Yeah, now we traveled to Logan this Friday to see the Bulldogs in action against perhaps the toughest team in Southeast Ohio.
Right, as a matter of fact, the Chieftains are ranked 12th in Division I in the entire state of Ohio, and they showed it why against the Bulldogs Friday night.
Yeah, they just outplayed the Bulldogs from the tip. Logan had great ball movement, and the whole night they were able to knock down open shots when they got them.
And someone had a breakout performance from Logan on his senior night, and that was Bo Myers. He finished the night with 37 points, which was his career high.
Adding on to that was Myers' third straight 30-point game. This loss snapped the 7-game win streak for the Bulldogs, and they'll look to rebound heading into the playoffs.
That's right, Athens will return to Logan High School to do battle with the Logan Elm Braves on Friday in the first round of the playoffs.
We'll see if the Kings of the TVC Ohio will bounce back come playoff time.
All right, guys, you've been down in the paint for quite a while. I think that's going to be 3-second violation. Get out of here. Now let's make our way over to Reedsville, where the Eagles had an interesting week, to say the least. I'm joined by Eastern reporter Zach Paquette. And Zach, let's start with the boys who find themselves right in the middle of the Hawkins standings.
The Eastern Eagles found themselves having to deal with a few storms this week. On Tuesday, they had to reschedule their game in Trimble due to excessive flooding in Gloucester. Then on Friday, a tornado sighting occurred in Reedsville as the Southern Tornadoes came in and defeated the Eagles 54-50 on senior night.
Yes, Southern and Eastern, always a fierce rivalry.
And this edition of the game was no exception. Aggressive defense from both sides and multiple momentum swings. Unfortunately for the Eagles, they didn't come out with the result they were looking for.
Despite not getting the dub, what are some takeaways for Eastern after this loss?
Sharp-faced Meyer stepped up huge for the Eagles, scoring 18 points on 6 of 6 shooting from behind the arc, and Mason DeShong added 13 points of his own. Eastern's scoring depth could propel them a long way in March if it continues, and a long tournament run is what these Eastern seniors are striving for.
We're all going to come in practice, work hard, stay focused, and go Trimble next week, beat them, go to Megs, play Southwestern, beat them, and keep going. That's right.
Now switching over to the girls' side of things, we saw the Lady Eagles finish the season strong, winning their last 3 conference games. What will they need to do to continue the success in the postseason?
The Lady Eagles seniors will need to save their best for last. Allison Bailey, Jess Parker, and Kelsey Casto. They have led this team to where they're at now, but the postseason is a lot tougher than the regular season. These girls will have to assume leadership roles and know that each game could be their last.
Yeah, Zach, big-time players need to step up in big-time games. Are there any specific players we should watch out for?
I think the one player that could have a huge impact on Eastern's playoff run is Allison Bailey. She is not afraid to create something of her own and shoot the ball. But in some games this year, she didn't find the bottom of the net as much as she would have liked. The Lady Eagles are at their best when she is on top of her game. Also, if players like Olivia Barber can create scoring of their own, the Lady Eagles could have the leadership and depth they need to make a deep run. The Lady Eagles played Miller on Saturday in their first round tournament game. This game was not played by the time of this recording, but check out woub.org/heroes for more.
Solid work, Zach. And have y'all been seeing our Twitter game? My boy Jackson Bear has been killing it all season long with the graphics. So go show him and the rest of the Hardwood Heroes staff some love. Plus players, listen up. Tweet us a picture of your shoes because next week, T and Murray are going to rank the hottest kicks in our coverage, and we don't want you to miss. Now, during the regular season, the Lady Tomcats and the Lady Golden Eagles of Belpre split their two matchups. Belpre won in Gloucester in a double overtime thriller. Trimble came back a month later and picked up a road win over the Lady Golden Eagles. I mean, I was there, and there was no doubt that the basketball gods wouldn't want a third matchup to break the tie. And Trimble lead reporter Taylor Jedrzak joins me now. And Taylor, we got to know what happened with that third game.
Paul, much like the first two games, this one went down to the wire. The biggest difference, this one was for the rights to cut down the nets as a sectional champion. In the closing seconds, Trimble's Jane Six caught a pass from Emily Young and hoisted a desperation three that was just a little bit long, and the Lady Tomcats fell 40-37.
Wow, they were pretty close to needing extra time again.
That they were, Paul. And this game was teetering on the brink of being a Belpre blowout for a little bit in the third. The Golden Eagles jumped out to a 10-point lead before the Tomcats were able to claw their way back and cut it to a 1-point deficit heading into the fourth.
Yeah, that's some serious Tomcat grit.
You want to know what else is gritty? This team finished the regular season winning 5 of their last 7 games, and with 8 of their 9 players returning for next season, look for the Lady Tomcats to be towards the top of the TVC Hockey in 2020.
Yeah, the future is certainly bright for the girls in Gloucester. Now, what about the boys? What's it like being on the top of the Hockey?
Oh, life at the top of the Hockey is pretty good, Paul. They went into a hostile environment and ground out a 54-42 win over Fed Hawk, further emphasizing why the Tomcats are the only ranked boys team in our coverage, coming in at 10th at D4. Jeremiah Brown led the team with 17 points, and freshman sensation Blake Guffey added 16 points and 11 rebounds. Not only that, the Tomcat defense held the Lancers to just 28% from the field. With the win, Trimble has clinched at least a share of the TVC Hockey for the 4th consecutive season.
That's quite the streak they got going up in Gloucester.
Yeah, and I don't see that streak ending next year either. But they still have things to play for this season. Before their playoff matchup with the winner of Miller and South Gallia on February 27th, they have to face Easter next Wednesday with a chance to win the Hawking outright. The Eagles are one of the 3 teams to have beaten Trimble this season, handing them their worst loss of the season when they beat the Tomcats 57-43 in early January.
Well, the Tomcats certainly have their work cut out for them to win the Hawking outright. Thanks for the great work as always, Taylor. And let's take it 24 miles south to Stewart, where the Federal Hawking Lancers are having quite the finish to the end of the season. With me is Federal Hawking reporter Alex Porter, who was treated to some great games this week.
Paul, it was definitely an intriguing week of games for both the boys and the girls squads. The great week of games was capped off with an absolutely fantastic game against Trimble and Stewart for the boys. The Lancers came into the game as the underdogs against the Tomcats, but they sure didn't play like it.
Okay, so if they didn't play like it, what did they do to prove to the Tomcats that they shouldn't be taken lightly?
Well, the Lancers did do a few things to bring the heat. Throughout the entirety of the game, they implemented a full court press, which did cause a healthy dosage of Tomcat turnovers. Trimble would end the game with 12 turnovers, 10 of which were stolen by the Lancers. But it wasn't enough, however, as Federal Hawking fell to Trimble 54-42. Head coach of the Lancers, Jonathan Thompson, told us his strategy for taking on the Tomcats.
Against Trimble last time we played a zone and it affected them. They had a hard time getting in the lane like they like to.
Great effort throughout the whole game. What can they take from this game as they head into the tournament?
They can take away the passion that they play with. It's contagious as a team and can help them down the stretch as they head into their playoff game next week.
All right, now over to the Lady Lancers. They began their playoff surge against Sims Valley.
It was definitely a surge, all right. The Lancers just couldn't miss. They took their talents to Megs as Federal Hawking took on the Vikings, and it was an interesting game from the tip. The Lady Lancers offense started off a little bit slow, but after a stretch of big plays brought to you by the big 3 of Paige Tolson, Emma Beha, and Kylie Tabler, they finally got onto their groove, which led to their blowout victory, 62-32.
All right, so by that score, the game had to have gotten out of hand at some point. What was the turning point?
I would say the turning point was in the game when the Lancers brought on that deadly press. Head coach Jeremy Tolson's goal for the press was to speed up the Viking offense, and to point out the obvious, it worked.
I just wanted to pick up full court man, put pressure on them, and I was trying to speed it up, at least on defense, and then slow it down and work the ball on offense.
So, as you can tell, Paul, the Lancers games this week were definitely a treat to watch.
Oh, it sure sounds like it, but next week will be a big test for both the boys and the girls. Thanks, Alex. And speaking of federal hockey, your student section wrote some clever signs when we were out there in Stewart. So now it's your turn to read what we wrote. Go to woub.org/heroes and check out all our written recaps of your favorite team's games. They'll be posted the night of games, and it's the quickest way to get your TBC action recaps, so go give them a look. Now out in MacArthur, the Vinton County boys are trying to put together yet another tournament run. Tyler Corbett joins me on desk to tell us how the Vikings are getting prepped.
So the Vikings entered this week cold, but by the end of the week, they were red hot. This week saw the Vikings play in 2 different senior nights.
Now, how does a team play in 2 different senior nights?
First, they took a trip to Bidwell to take on River Valley on their senior night, and the game really went wire to wire. Then the turnover bug hit River Valley. The Vikings forced 7 straight turnovers.
Did they turn defense into offense?
You could say that. They went on a 16-0 run. Kicked off by Gavin Arbaugh. Homie dropped 15 in the second half and finished with the game with 19 as the Vikings went on to win 56-47. And Jacob, I really hope you're listening because that's what we call a Hero of the Week performance.
All right, but what about their second senior night?
So on Friday, the Vikings welcomed, crosstown rival Wellston into town. In pregame, the Vikings honored Eli Griffith, Austin Height, Trafford Dunn, and Ricky Bodie. And during the game, well, they gave Wellston a beatdown.
All right, come tournament time, how will those seniors help, though?
So having someone like Eli Griffith, who has played in a regional final, is always important to a team because you need experience come postseason.
Okay, but now the Lady Vikes. I gotta say, with the postseason on the doorstep, I think it would be a fun idea to bring in Waterford lead reporter Connor Mills on board with you, Tyler, and debate which girls' team will go further in the playoffs. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, Connor, take it away.
Listen, when we're talking about playoff teams, we're talking about teams who have built a legacy going deep into the postseason, and Waterford is a dynasty. Waterford, over the last 5 years, they're undefeated in conference. 15 years, only 5 conference losses. It doesn't matter who's on the team. It doesn't matter what's going on. They've been always finding a way to win a close game.
Connor, it's really cool that you're talking about history. I think that's neat, but we're talking about right now, and right now, this is the team that's primed to win. I see you only went to games. I went to practice to see what made these Lady Vikes tick. And let me tell you, when you've got someone like Morgan Bentley, who's averaging 16, 11, and 5 on the season, and just a freshman, Tegan Bartow, averaging 15 and 7, that's tough to beat. Plus, their practices are brutal. Rod Bentley works these girls out, and honestly, I think practices are harder for them than games.
Listen, why are we talking about practice? This is the postseason. We've had all season to practice, and now this is when it matters. This is when it counts. And for Waterford, they've got an even team. I like to think of Waterford this year as the New England Patriots, all right? Because nobody believed that Waterford Lady Wildcats would have went this far. They're undefeated again. They've got seniors such as Rachel Adams and Emily Kern, and then they have new faces such as Cara Taylor and Lily Roberts. This team is built to win, and they're built to win now, in the future, as they just have done in the past.
Connor, I don't think you noticed, but I was launching some 3-point arrows. You know why? Guess why? Because that's all the Lady Vikings have done this entire season. So last year's team only lost 1 game, shattered the school record for 3-pointers in a game. This team just re-shattered that record and hit 14 in a game against Wheelersburg, a top D3 opponent. I don't understand how any team in their D2 region thinks that they have a shot against a team where their entire lineup, their entire rotation really, 1 through 7, can hit the 3 ball.
Listen, Waterford, they've got a great coach. Coach Close has won 300 wins, more than 300 wins. He's one of the best coaches in our coverage area. I'd even put him against all of our coaches, doesn't matter who it is. And Waterford, going into the postseason, they're the 1 seed. The 8-9 seeds, losing records. 5 seed already lost. They had a losing record in Manchester, 11-8 right now. So we'll see how it goes for Waterford, but I believe that this team is just going to keep on going, and they've been with consistency. You can hit that 3 all you want, but Waterford, they've been going well, and they hit with consistency.
Postseason's when the strong survive. I got to look at the weight room for the Vinton County Lady Vikings, and like I said, Coach Bentley, who I think could definitely give Coach Close a run, has been putting his girls in the weight room because, hey, like I said, the strong survive in the postseason, and that's what Vinton County is, strong.
All right, Corbett, you know what? I didn't want to have to do this to you, but I'm going to have to. 2015, state runner-up. 2016, state champions. 2017, state runner-up. 2018, state semifinalists. So when you win a state title, come back at me, all right?
Are you a history major or something? I thought we were talking basketball, not history.
All right, you two. Sadly, though, we won't get to see these 2 Titans clash, but thank you for the spirited debate. And now, Connor, we have heard a lot about the girls, but the guys, they've been having a nice season as well.
The guys, they capped off a nice regular season for their seniors at home against Belpre. And while the girls are at the top, the guys will at least finish in the top 2 in the Hawking. Trimble has a chance to win the conference outright with a win against Eastern, and Waterford has to hope for a loss to tie for the conference title. Wildcats have finished their conference season and went out with another gritty win against Belpre. And there is no love lost between these two teams, as Waterford's gym was standing room only. Waterford, after only being down in the first quarter, was able to come back behind and beat Belpre for the second time this season. Wildcats had double-doubles from seniors Peyton Stevens and Russell Young, and on senior night, they had a chance to reflect on what it's been like to play in front of their home crowd.
Everything, I mean, they've been supporting us for all of my 4 years and many more years to come and years before that, so.
It's the best feeling in the world, nothing beats it. All those fans screaming, roaring every time you score a point, knowing it's the last time you'll be here. Nothing beats it.
Waterford is the 3 seed and will face Southern at Meigs on Wednesday to start the postseason. And we'll move on into the Convocation Center.
Can't wait for it. Thanks, Connor. And y'all see that new Shane Dawson Exposed video? I'm sure you didn't, because you're too busy watching Hardwood Heroes content, aren't you? Well, if not, then make sure you go find WOUB PBS on YouTube and catch all of our video recaps that we post on there. Plus, we post entire show episodes on there so you can rewatch this one, or better yet, start from the beginning and watch them all again. Now I'm going to take an errant 3 because I'm garbage, but gladly our online hosts T. Willis and Jacob Murray are down there to grab the rebound and bring us 2 more heroic performances from this past week.
Look, as the regular season winds down, the players in our coverage are just beginning to showcase their talents. Let's jump right into it with our Boys Hero of the Week. And I did listen to my man Tyler Corbett. As for the Vinton County Vikings, junior point guard Gavin Arbaugh has taken control of this team that lost most of their starters from a season ago. Arbaugh acts as a floor general for this team, pinpointing where the open man is on the offensive side. This Viking averages around 17 points and 5 assists per game, and he performs when his team needs him most, as he had 15 points in the second half of their game this past week against River Valley to help get that victory. He will dive for loose balls and just always try and find a way to win basketball games.
He's definitely helping his team pull out some wins, and I gotta be honest, Jacob, his game reminds me of a former Vinton County point guard.
Now, these two are not mirror images of one another, but Arbaugh's play reminds me of last year's Vinton County starting point guard Jake Speakman. Both carry the responsibility of running the show, and they help their teammates play at a high level. And both can have big scoring nights at any moment to help their team's chances of taking the dub. Arbaugh continues to improve and has gotten more comfortable as the starter for this team. And if this team wants to make a deep run in the playoffs, then this hero must perform at a high level.
And my hero played the same role she does every night. This time, however, the stakes were higher and she was on a bigger stage. Leading the Nelsonville York Lady Buckeyes, my hero of the week is Mary Kate McCullough. With her team season hanging in the balance Thursday night against New Lexington, McCullough put on a performance that led to a 30-point victory. In what could have been her final game as a Lady Buckeye, she treated every possession like it was her last. McCullough led NY with 17 points and showed off her passing ability as well. She was selfless and wasn't afraid to make the extra pass, whether it be down low or behind the arc.
All right, so she can stuff the stat sheet, but how does she help put crooked numbers in the win column?
One of the things the teammates rave about her the most is her enthusiasm and energy. It elevates her game, but it also makes her teammates want to play just as hard. McCullough is the most vocal player on the court, and that's essential to good leadership. Her experience is another factor that gives the Buckeyes an edge in the playoffs. When you're trying to make a run, you need someone who's been there before and knows the kind of effort it takes to win. In the postseason, nothing's promised for any team or player. If you want to make the win, you have to play for the name on the front of the jersey and not the number on the back. Players like Mary Kate McCullough do just that.
Yeah, T, what a great way to put it. I couldn't have said it better. And now Shaq once said, excellence is not a singular act, but that's all we got. Always remember to be heroic.